Hello, beautiful people. It's your girl Nasa with Expansive Taste, and today I'm talking about the Barbie movie. And the reason why I'm going to be talking so much about the Barbie movie is because it's amazing and I love it. And I know some of you have watched it and wouldn't mind another discussion about it, but some of you have not watched it and for some reason have no intention of watching it, but still want to know what it's all about. You want to understand the hype, but you don't want to do the investment, you don't want to do the research. But here I am, and I'm going to share with you all the details. There are going to be plenty of spoilers. I'm pretty much going to summarize the whole movie and get a little bit detailed about why I feel so much for this film. First of all, in Barbie Land, the roles are reversed, and it's not the kind of role reversal that you typically see in other media. It's the type where women are in power and they're in charge, but they don't have to take on the personalities of men to be there. They just are. They're women and they just do their girly things and live in their amazing world where they have dance parties every night and they go to the beach and they do all these different things, and it's just a glamorous world where they can just be fun and be themselves and be glamorous. And that's pretty cool. So in Barbie world, there's the Barbie construction workers, the Barbie sanitation workers, the Barbie Nobel Prize winners, the Barbie Congress, the Barbie president. They all have these roles and they're just all equal and they're all loved, and it's not like there's no weird hierarchy going on except when it comes to the Kens. So it's not really acknowledged in the beginning of the movie. I mean, it is acknowledged, like you as a viewer can tell what's going on, but in their world, they just see it as normal. But the Kens, they don't have jobs. Their job is to beach. And that pretty much means that they're always there at the beach and all they do is just stand there and look pretty. They don't know they're not lifeguards, they're not saving people. They're just there to surf, to pose, and to talk to the Barbies when the Barbies come to the beach. So the Kens are pretty insignificant in this world, and that drives the plot pretty much. Every day for Barbie is a great day, whichever Barbie it is. Every day is a great day, but for the Kens, they only have a good day when Barbie looks at them. In this particular Ken, we're gonna reference them as stereotypical Barbie and stereotypical Ken. So every day for Barbie is amazing until she starts malfunctioning and she wakes up one day and her shower's too cold and her waffles are burnt and her milk is expired, and when she tries to get off her dream house, she just falls instead of floating magically down like she normally would. And it really hits home when she's at the beach and she notices that her feet are flat and it is scary, and she shows the other Barbies, and the other Barbies are horrified. They're screaming, they're like, "Oh my gosh, Barbie, you are malfunctioning and you got to go see Weird Barbie now because she's got the solutions." And it's funny because they call her Weird Barbie and they're like, "Yeah, we call her Weird Barbie to her face and behind her back." Which is, very, there's a lot of awareness there. But yeah, so Barbie has to go to see Weird Barbie, and Weird Barbie, by the way, is the Barbie that has been played with too hard in the real world. So she's the Barbie that got beaten up and thrown across the room. She's the Barbie that's always in a split and has her hair cut and her hair burnt and drawings all over her face, because that's just, I feel like those of us who had a Barbie or two, like we had one that we really damaged and did not treat well. Yeah, so after stereotypical Barbie and Weird Barbie talk, they figure out, Weird Barbie explains to her that the reason why Barbie is malfunctioning is because there is a hole through the membrane that separates Barbie in her Barbie land and the girl in the real world who is playing with the Barbie doll. And yeah, so pretty much what's happening is that the girl playing with the Barbie doll must be going through something and is pouring negative emotions into the doll that is affecting Barbie through Barbie land. And we end up learning in the story that it's because a grown woman who used to play with Barbies and her daughter yeah, she's feeling disconnected from her daughter, and she kind of just was sad and lonely and wished Barbie to life. But going on, anyways, Barbie is motivated to pretty much fix this solution, not because she wants to fix the other girl's problem, but because, well, I mean, she does, but not really. But it's because, like, Barbie is also getting cellulite, and she's like, ah, what is this? And Weird Barbie's all like, well, you gotta fix it or you're gonna turn up like me. And Barbie's like, no, I do not want to be Weird Barbie, which is hilarious in the way that they do it. And you know, but Weird Barbie, she's confident in her skin. Okay, she's got it figured it out. But yeah, but still, no Barbie wants to become Weird Barbie. So everyone at Barbie Land is wishing Barbie good luck on her journey. So they're like, good luck repairing the membrane between the real world and Barbie Land and finding a way to fix the cellulite or whatever. And so Barbie drives away in her dream car, and Ken, who was not invited, by the way, he jumps in the car. And she's like, ah, and yeah, and he's like, ah, but whatever. Long story short, they end up just going to the journey together, and yeah, and this is where the real story begins. In the real world, Barbie and Ken experience completely different things. First of all, Barbie expected a world where Barbies fixed everything because the girls in the real world saw that they could be anything through Barbie, and you know, became high achievers and became confident in themselves. And that's what Barbie thinks. Barbie thinks, I made girls feel confident and know that anything is possible because they can look up to all these different women and be inspired. But that's not the case. And this is even represented when when Barbie and Ken are skating and they see a billboard with, what's it called? They see the billboard with, so they see a billboard with a bunch of women in bikinis for beauty pageants, and they're like, oh, look, it's the Supreme Courts. And then Ken is like, yeah, they're so smart. And so it's like they see women in bikinis and they think, oh, they're so smart. These are our leaders. But yeah, that was just a funny part in the movie. But still, being in the real world, skating along in her cute little exercise suit, you know, she feels objectified. She's like, people are looking at me, but not in admiration. It's more like, there's like an undertone of violence in there. Meanwhile, Ken, he's all like, people are definitely looking at me in admiration. They're paying attention to me. They think I look cool. He's getting an ego boost because of all the attention he's getting. Meanwhile, Barbie is starting to feel self-conscious. Barbie and Ken still don't really know how to do the real world right, so they do get arrested twice. But anyways, moving on. Ken and Barbie split up, and Barbie tries to go and find the girl, and we'll just skip over the details over there. But Ken, he goes into the real world, and he's learning so much, and he's seeing men just everywhere. He's seeing advertisement with men. He's seeing guys at the gym being like, huh, huh, yeah, bro, yeah, man. Men jumping out of their nice cars because, you know, in Barbie Land, they only have the pink girly cars. The Kens don't have cars. I don't know if you noticed, but Kens don't have cars. They don't have homes. But yeah, Ken, he's in the world, and he's in the, what's it called? He goes to the hospital. He's all like, so let me just perform a surgery. And the woman's like, no, you can't perform surgery. You don't have you're not a doctor. He's like, can I speak to a doctor? She's like, I am one. But yeah, so he's not allowed to do that, and he tries to go to like a lifeguard, or he tries to apply for, he goes to the beach to apply for the position of beach. And the lifeguard's all like, I can't hire you. You don't have any skills. And Ken's all like, I can't even beach here. Overall, Ken does learn a lot about patriarchy because he sees the dollars, he sees the men on the dollar bills, he sees the statues with men, he sees all this kind of imagery of men in power, and he goes into like this corporate building or whatever. He's talking to someone. He's like, so how do can I get a job here? And the man's all like, well, you kind of need a degree in this and that and that. And then Ken's all like, well, you clearly and Ken's all like, you're clearly not doing patriarchy right. And then the boss or whatever, he's like, actually, we are doing patriarchy quite well. We're just hiding it better. And as Barbie is experiencing the real world, she is seeing things a little bit more complex. She's sitting at the park and she sees kids playing, and she's seeing someone who's obviously going through some sort of hardship, and then she sees an old woman and she sees all this and starts to cry, and she's like, wow. And she turns to the old woman and she says, you're so beautiful. So Barbie is feeling so many different things and is seeing how complicated life is in the real world, and she's seeing the beauty in it, even though it has been pretty rough on her already. Moving on, Mattel, which is the name of the company that created Barbie, knows that there is a Barbie out in the real world, and they're panicking, and they're like, we have to find this Barbie and put her back in a box. Long story short, they find her, and Barbie is kind of, one of the things that Barbie is surprised by is that everyone in the boardroom, the CEO, the COO, the president, whatever, all the people in the boardroom that are in charge of Barbie are men. And she's like, and she's confused by this. She's like, why, where, like, how, where are the women in power in the making of Barbie? But anyways, they try to get her to get into the box, and Barbie runs away. And they have this funny little action moment where, you know, they're dodging and chasing, and Barbie ends up, you know, escaping, and she goes into a room that has an old woman named Ruth there. And Ruth is the founder, CEO of Barbie, or of Mattel. And what's funny is that, like, she's referenced as like the ghost that keeps a room in the 17th floor. And so Barbie finds that room and they have a little conversation. Mattel is still after Barbie, and so she does have to keep running, and she finds the woman who wished Barbie into life with her, and the woman also is with her teenage daughter, and they end up driving back to Barbie Land. Also, by the way, when Ken discovered everything, he also had already driven back to Barbie Land without Barbie. And so when Barbie gets there, she notices that things are like so different. Like, pretty much what happened is that when Ken came back to Barbie Land, he decided to take over. He learned in the real world that men were in control, and he wanted a piece of that, and he wanted to bring it back to Barbie Land. And so things were changed in the way that, like, every one of the Barbies, they didn't have the defenses against whatever Ken was telling them. And so they just like rolled with it and were like, just became brainwashed. And pretty much their brains went on a vacation. They just became the bimbos. Even though the Kens were the bimbos before, or the himbos. But yeah, now the Barbies in Barbie Land are just bimbos, and all they do is just like stand there to support Ken and hand him beers. Like, here's a beer, broski. Whatever. And that's pretty much all they do. They just take care of the kids now and cheer for them. They're in their cheerleader outfits. They're wearing way more scandalous clothing. Even the woman who was a doctor, she's now wearing a maid's outfit. The vice woman, or the woman president, or Barbie, and Barbie president is over there serving beers to Ken. And then they're all Kens, by the way. There are hundreds of Kens over there. And hundreds of Barbies. Stereotypical Barbie goes to her dream house, and she sees stereotypical Ken at her dream house, and he has changed everything. And he's pretty much like, hey, Barbie, this is my house. This is not your dream house anymore. This is my Mojo Dojo Casa house. And if you agree to be my long-term, long-distance, low-commitment girlfriend, you can chill with me here. And that part is just so funny. This pretty much becomes a threat to become a real thing, because they say in the next 48 hours the Kens are going to vote to change the constitution so that Barbie Land can become like Kingdom Land or whatever. So Barbie is crushed and she doesn't know what to do. And the woman who wished her to life, and with her daughter, they take Barbie to Weird Barbie's house, and they try to come up with a plan. They're trying to de-brainwash, or they're trying to wake up one of the Barbies that have been brainwashed. And they're like, what's it called? Yeah, this is the Barbie that was Nobel Peace Prize winner Barbie too. But she just wasn't having it, and it wasn't until first Barbie had her moment where she just cries, and she's just like, Her problem is, well, I have nothing. There's no hope. I'm not pretty anymore. I'm not pretty enough. And this is a problem because that's all Barbie ever had to be. She just had to be pretty, and even that wasn't good enough anymore. She wasn't any special type of Barbie. She wasn't President Barbie. She wasn't in a leadership position. She wasn't someone who really had any type of job that contributed to her society. She was just stereotypical Barbie, and now she couldn't even be that anymore. And so that was like a problem for her. But then, you know, the woman who wished her back to life, or wished her to the real world, whatever, she has her speech. She's like, you know what, Barbie, I get it. Like, being a woman is hard. Like, you have to be beautiful, but you can't be so beautiful that other women are intimidated by you and think that you're gonna steal their boyfriends. You have to be a boss, but you can't be bossy. You have to be a leader, but you can't shut down other people's ideas. You have to be thin, but you can't say that you want to be thin, because you have to say you want to be healthy instead, but you still have to be thin, and all this other stuff. And she goes into great detail about all the requirements that are placed upon women that, you know, give us so much pressure to try to be perfect and to always perform. And also, you know, about us having to always be kind. You can never be rude. You can never have a bad day or whatever. And hearing this, Nobel Peace Prize winner Barbie, she snaps out of it. She just wakes up, and then they realize, oh, this is the remedy. You pretty much have to give them the feminism speech in order for them to wake up. So they come up with a plan to get the other Barbies to wake up too. So they put decoy brainwashed Barbies in front of Ken's, and you know, they pretty much, decoys are there to be like, oh, Ken, I need your help. I don't feel pretty, or I don't know how to do this computer thing. I need help. I'm so dumb and helpless. And then Ken falls for it each time. He's like, here, I got this. And so, yeah. So while he's distracted by decoy Barbie, his Barbie is being taken, and she's getting the speech so that she can wake up. And the plan is, overall, each Barbie, one by one, is going to be woken up so that they can come up with a plan to pretty much still pretend to be brainwashed, but use that power to gain their power back. So the idea is that they're going to get the Kens to turn against each other. Pretty much, yeah, that's what happened. They get the Kens to turn against each other just by using petty jealousy, pretty much acting like what they do is, like, they're sitting in a circle, and they're on their dates with the kin. They're all in the same area, and they just like go over to the next kin, and the kin's like, what, where'd my woman go? And now he hates that kin. And pretty much the Kens are fooled by this, and they decide, we're going to war against the Kens. And so the Kens, they all go to war, and this happens while the Barbies are actually at the court and reinstating their constitution, and, you know, making the vote to keep everything as it was and to take back their Barbie land. So the Kens realized that they missed the voting session, and they lost. And stereotypical Ken goes to stereotypical Barbie, and he's a mess. He's crying. He runs to her room and cries on her bed, and they have a little talk, and there you see that, like, even though Ken was a huge problem, and he did take things way too far, and he became a whole dictator, and yeah, was doing entirely too much, kicked her out of her house, everything. Even though he did that, Barbie was still sympathetic, because she realized, oh, Ken, I'm so sorry. Like, you never had a place in this world. Like, every night didn't have to be girls' night, because Ken didn't have a home. Yet every night was girls' night, and Ken could never stay over. And so so Barbie and Ken talk, and pretty much they come to the understanding that, yeah, it wasn't fair for Barbie to pretty much always be in the spotlight, and for Ken to just only exist for Barbie and not have anything of his own. And through this talk, Ken is still confused, but he comes to the conclusion that, oh, I am an individual. It's not just I'm Ken, but Ken is me. And Barbie is me. And if you say it with your name, like my name's Nasa, there's a difference between I'm Nasa and Nasa is me. Nasa is not who I am. It's just a name, and I am more than that. It's the difference between saying I'm here and here I am. Like, it's just, Ken realizes that he's more than just Ken, and he is enough just being him. He doesn't have to take something from someone else because he himself is enough, and he didn't need to identify himself in relation to Barbie. Yeah, so they come to that conclusion, and all the Kens are like happy, and they're like, yeah, I'm enough. And stereotypical Ken also shows up in a sweater that says, I'm Kenuff, and it's hilarious. I'm sure that's gonna sell very well. I want one. I want a sweater that says, I'm Kenuff. So by the way, Mattel, the company, and all the men that are like on the board, they did follow them into Barbie Land, and they contributed nothing, honestly. But they're like, oh, okay, problem solved, guys. Okay, so now everything can be restored back to normal. But President Barbie's all like, no, actually, it's not going to go back to normal because we also sympathize, and I think it's time for the Kens to have a place in Barbie Land. And even though it's not completely equal, it's not complete equality, they still have to work themselves out. So they pretty much get like the bottom of the barrel kind of jobs, and they can work their way up, which is kind of realistic in the sense of like how this world works. Like, you don't just yeah. So it's still very much like a matriarchy, still a lot better than it was, and I kind of like it that way, honestly. Equality's great, but hey, in Barbie Land, let's make them work. But Mattel is still confused about Barbie's ending. They assume, oh, Barbie and Ken, they're just gonna end up together, and Barbie is like, actually, no, I'm not in love with Ken. And that's what's amazing. Like, you don't just like go through this whole story and think, oh, Barbie and Ken are going to end up together, and that's what we want. That's not what we want. We want Barbie as an individual to just be like, yeah, I don't need Ken. And yeah, and that's the conclusion. She doesn't need to be with Ken for it to be a good ending, even though that's what Ken would like. But yeah, we have agency over here, okay? And so Barbie does wonder what her ending is, and she ends up talking, or Ruth, the CEO, the founder of Barbie or Mattel, Barbie and her they walk away and they have a conversation, and they talk about how Barbie was never really supposed to end because she's an idea, and the difference between humans and Barbie is that humans die, but their ideas live on forever. And so Barbie is that idea that's supposed to live on forever. But Barbie doesn't want to be an idea. She says, I want to be the one doing the imagining. So she wants to be pretty much a creator. She wants to be part of the human world and create. And I feel like that part is just like so beautiful to me as an artist, because the reason why I make art and I create content and I write songs is because I feel like creating is the purpose of my life. Like, I can't just not create something that's going to be bigger than I am. And it doesn't have to always just be art. Like, if you're not an artist, like, creating is also having children and creating life and seeing how that develops. And one thing that Ruth, the founder of Mattel, says is that, I love this part. She says mothers stand still in order to watch their daughters grow to see how far they can go, or how far they came from, or whatever. But that part, I was like, it was really sweet because I love my mom, and I feel like, she also has sacrificed so much for me and for my well-being so that she could see me grow into the person that I was, or that I am. But yeah, Barbie is wondering, like, can I be human? And Ruth is all like, well, yeah, of course, just feel. And yeah, then there's this beautiful montage with the song from Billie Eilish. How does it go? I don't need to sing it for you guys right now. Let me not ruin this. But yeah, so that's pretty much the entirety of the video, and it's overall a beautiful story about that puts in perspective like patriarchy and also um, yeah, the standards that are both for men and women, where women feel like they have so much to live up for or whatever, or to prove, and then men also feel like they have so much to prove and they're just not enough unless they're in power or they're in competition or they have something over someone. Both the Kens and the Barbie learn that they don't need to be extraordinary and perfect in order to exist. They can just exist. Um, and that is good enough. That is enough. It was a great movie, and I love the message. I love the songs that played in it. I love the colors. It was such a vibrant, emotion-filled film. Um, and yeah, I did watch it twice. I watched the movie twice, and I'm very happy about that. Okay, so that's all, beautiful people. I send you my love. Mwah.